Hi, folks. This is Chris Voss from thechrisvossshow.com, thechrisvossshow.com. One of the things I want to talk about here is in the social media forum, there seems to be a lot of people out there that are designing a lot of graphs. There seems to be a lot of people that are designing a lot of rules. And, on one hand, it's conceptual to, what's this, Stephen Covey, 7 basic things of this. 10 always seems to be a popular factor. The 10 top things you should do. The 10 this, the 20 that. I always find it interesting that in a lot of cases they always are able to come to a round number. Like, I don't know, the 10 best things you could do with your life. You really can only find 10, and what if there was just 9, and did you make up the 10th one? You know what I'm getting at. But one of the things that I want to discuss here is relationships. Relationships are relative. Now, you heard me talk in some of my prior blog posts that I don't force my relationships that I have unitarily on everyone. I have some people I talk to every day, sometimes a couple times a day. I have some people I talk to once a month. I don't go around browbeating everyone going, oh, you have to be like this relationship here. But let's talk about this a little bit more, because I see people pontificating about a lot of different things with social media and trying to define the rules. And of course, we've talked about people that try and define rules and push those rules on everybody else are kind of a Nazi Gestapo, which is really what those folks started out doing. Use social media how you want to, build your relationships how you want to, and of course, relationships are egregious where, it's up to the other person, and you've got to hopefully maintain a relationship in the way that they want to maintain a relationship with you, and you guys can meet in the middle. Relationships are relative, okay? There's no graph, there's no design, there's no top 10 things that I can give you on how to build the most perfect relationships on Twitter. It's very relative. It's relative to the person, it's relative to, maybe your business exposure, your social exposure, how often they're online, when you're online, the hours, etc., etc. And I see people really trying to go crazy in defining that, and I suppose there's a market that, and it does look good on media things to see the cute little graph. And then I get frustrated when people are like, well, you have to do it this way if it's social media. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. Relationships are relative. One of the things I just recently talked about in a blog post is I saw that almost 73% of people that are on Twitter that are watching you are voyeurs. They don't engage much. They do not Twitter much. They watch. They're very good watchers. Most people are in the audience because they don't want to be speakers. They're not comfortable being speakers. There can't be a conversation. They're in the audience to listen. They like listening. Let's just put it this way. The concept would be this. If everyone liked being on TV, who would there be to watch TV? Unfortunately, or fortunately, most people, I guess, like to sit and watch TV. They don't want to be on TV. It's a little bit too much work than sitting and watching TV. So they enjoy being where they are. So there's a few people that like being on TV, and there's a lot of people that like watching people that are entertaining them to be on TV. So with this medium, what you have is you have people that have relationships. Now, what I found, and you've probably seen this on other posts that I made, is that I've had people that have watched me for a year, basically been voyeuristic, almost stalkers for a year, if you would call it that, and fun, very quietly watching me this whole time. And there's people that are probably quietly watching right now. And every now and then they come out of the woodwork. They go, hey, Chris, we've been watching you for some time. We really like what you do. And you're like, well, really? I wish you would have told me, because, would encourage me more, and I didn't know you were listening. And I would like maybe your perspective or feedback some more. But those people, in their minds, are having a relationship with me. Now, I'm smart enough in social media not to be up here pontificating going, if you don't do engagement a certain fucking way, it's not, you're not doing it right, and then we should just burn you at a cross at the social media freaking site, or wherever they do that, the Mount. These people have a relationship with me, and there's different value levels of relationship, and that's why I'm saying relationships are relative. They go to different degrees. Now, you may be that person in social media who's watching me, and you've never tweeted me, you've never retweeted me, you've never talked to me, but you maybe check the Chris Voss Show on an irregular or regular basis. You watch what I do, but maybe you just don't ever say anything to me about it. But you know what? In your mind, you're still having a relationship with me. And the point I started to make earlier was I'm smart enough to realize the Chris Voss Show and the Twitter and the Buzz and the Facebook and all that stuff, they are entities of a broadcast. They are the Chris Voss Show, in essence. Now, the great thing about social media is we can interact a whole lot more than, say, TV, radio, and other one-way communications. But the relationships are still relative. Now, you may be somebody who retweets me all the time. You're on my top retweeters list. You talk to me every day on Twitter. You're a part of my Facebook, going on there and making jokes about the funny pictures I put up to entertain people. You're very integrated in feeding back to me your communication on my communication, and that's one of the beauties and advantages of social media. But that's not the way everyone does it, and it's relative. It's going to go from maybe, you harass me and talk to me to a point that I'm getting a restraining order against you. I'm just kidding. All the way back to that voyeur who's stalking me and just kind of watching me from the thing. And that's the thing they found with Twitter. Up to 73% of Twitter are voyeurs. So what does that tell you? A large amount of people are out there quietly watching, quietly seeing what you're doing, and quietly making decisions as to what they're going to do in the future with listening to your broadcast or your channel or whatever it is you're trying to get out there in the marketplace. So keep in mind that when you hear some of these pontifications from these people that are trying to define stuff, people that are trying to say social media has to take and be this way, and your relationships have to be this way, and you have to engage this way or else, and here's this graph of what you have to do in the top 10. BS. Okay? Live your life. Okay? Use some common sense. But realize these relationships out there, everyone has a relationship at a different relative position, and they are relationships. I realize that when I broadcast, I don't know if anyone's listening or not. When I started out, I didn't know if anyone was ever going to listen or not, and I'm just like, well, we'll build it, and hopefully they'll come. And in the end, I assume that people are out there listening, and that's my relationship to them. When I sit down every day, I don't know if what I going to put out to you you're going to like. It's up to you. I put out what I usually like to do, and I think most people have figured me out to this point that I really don't come out there and kiss people's butt. I share with you an incredible amount of experience that I think is great, and if you like it, well then I certainly appreciate the feedback you get, and I certainly hope that it helps you in achieving your goals. So relationships are relative. Don't define them and don't go, oh, well, it has to be this way, and blah, 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 blah. The other thing, too, is it's important to realize that silent majority is out there. If you think that, just this little pool you're swimming in, or these people that are feeding back to you are your most important elements, maybe sometimes those people that you're trying to reach in the, out there that are the most quiet thing, trying to draw them out may be some of the best goals you can get. And so, I recently did a blog post saying, how, please feed back to me what's going on. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Let me know what your comments are. Help encourage me to give you more blog posts. Because if you're too quiet, I don't think anyone's listening, and I'll just go, well, I'm just going to turn off the channel. So, do need some feedback. But just remember that in your marketing when you're dealing with Twitter, Facebook, Buzz, LinkedIn, etc., that there is that silent majority that's out there, and that relationships are relative. You can't sit there and stupidly define them and go, if you don't do social media a certain way, then you're not doing social media a certain way. I really get tired when people tweet me crap like that. I really get tired when people tweet me that because I do social media different than they do, that I'm wrong, and whatever the case may be. So, fun is fun. I think you get my point. Relationships are relative, and they are based in degrees, varying from little to none to a whole lot, but there's people still out there watching. Thanks for coming by the ChrisVossShow.com. Bye-bye.